The deep space rescue vessel Argos approached the drifting remains of Helios, a once thriving research ship, now eerily silent. Captain Elias Kane led his team, Dr. Serena Voss, Lieutenant Rourke, pilot Ava Mercer, engineer Tobias Grant, and medic Jonas Lee, into the cold, lifeless corridors. The air was heavy with an unnatural stillness, emergency lights flickering in rhythmic pulses. Blood smeared the walls, yet no bodies were in sight. Something had happened here, something terrible. Their mission was simple: retrieve survivors and uncover what went wrong. But as they stepped further into the ship, dread clawed at their minds. In the dim glow of the control panel, they found the last log of the Helios crew. The recording flickered with static, but the words were chilling. "It's awake. It's in our minds." Before they could process the message, a weak shuffle echoed from the darkness. A lone survivor, Dr. Adrian Kepler, emerged, his sunken eyes filled with terror. He grabbed Kane's arm, his voice a rasping whisper. "It's still here inside me, inside all of us." Then his body convulsed. A sickening crack followed as something moved beneath his skin. His ribcage bulged unnaturally, his chest splitting open as shadowy tendrils lashed out. The team barely escaped, sealing the bridge door behind them as Kepler's transformed body thrashed against the metal. Dr. Voss quickly pieced together the horror. Helios had found something, a signal emanating from an ancient artifact on a dead planet below. It was more than just a sound. It was a living frequency, burrowing into the minds of those who heard it. The crew had begun to hallucinate, then they changed. Now they weren't dead. They were something else. As the team searched for a way to restore power, Mercer was dragged into the shadows, her screams abruptly cutting to static. The team was no longer alone. The infected crew lurked in the darkness, shifting, whispering, waiting. The walls of the ship moved, as if breathing. The ship itself had become part of the entity. Panic set in. Rourke torched the advancing horrors with flamethrower, but they did not burn easily. One by one, the team fell. Rourke was impaled. Tobias's voice distorted as he succumbed to the infection, his eyes turning black as he whispered the signal. Only Dr. Voss and Kane remained. They reached the cargo bay, where the artifact pulsed like a beating heart. Voss realized the horrifying truth. This was no object. It was a being, a predator that feeds through sound. The only way to stop it was to destroy Helios. Kane set the ship's reactor to overload, but the entity sensed their intent. The walls trembled. The whispers grew deafening. They ran for the escape pod, barely making it as Helios erupted into fire. Drifting in silence, they watched the ship's remains vanish into the void. Relief settled in, until a final transmission crackled through their comms. "You think it's over, but you heard it, and now it hears you." Voss froze. A whisper brushed against her mind. She turned to Kane, fear tightening in her chest. In the reflection of the pod's glass, her eyes turned black. The signal had survived. Cut to static.